let's dive straight into this explainer, because today we're unpacking a terrifying ancient story that acts as a really piercing mirror for our modern ambitions. We're looking at the book of Numbers, specifically chapter 16. And let me tell you, this isn't a text that just sits quietly on the page. It absolutely demands our attention. We are going to explore the rebellion of Korah, and more importantly, the anatomy of pride itself, how it starts, how it spreads, and ultimately how it destroys.
The earth has a mouth, and one day it opened. We are starting right in the middle of the terror here. The source material drops us into a scene where the air doesn't smell like a nice, clean Sunday school lesson. Not at all. It smells like dust, fear, hot skin, and judgment standing way too close. This isn't the kind of verse you're going to stitch onto a decorative pillow or print on your morning coffee mug, right? It is a visceral, terrifying reality of a moment where creation itself was used as an instrument of divine consequence.
I want you to just picture the sudden, catastrophic reality for a camp that basically just stopped breathing. Someone's cooking fire is still crackling in the background. A child might have literally been holding a piece of bread. The wind is rustling the tent flaps. And then, completely without warning, the soil becomes a grave. It perfectly captures the sheer, unvarnished shock of the camp. The ordinary became horrific in a fraction of a second.
Now, to really understand this rebellion, you have to understand the specific cultural roles at play. See, Korah wasn't some marginalized outsider who had been locked out of the system. Actually, he was a Levite, and Levites already possessed immense honor and privilege. They served directly in the tabernacle. They stood close to secret things that average Israelites could never even dream of touching. Yet, and this is key, nearness to holy work didn't make Korah's heart holy. He had a profound calling for sure, but he wanted more control.
It's wild when you look at the delusion of Korah compared to the stark reality of the camp. Korah didn't come attacking like an obvious monster. He came speaking these holy words, armed with total confidence and backed by 250 respected leaders, men of renown. His lie wore incredibly good clothes. But look at the camp. They are absolutely terrified. They're watching a guy with an inflated ego drag the entire community toward the edge of a cliff, bringing divine judgment dangerously close to their own front doors.
So, the crucial point here is the stark contrast between Korah's upward grasp for power and Moses' immediate, humble reaction. When Korah challenged the order and aimed his rebellion at Moses, how did Moses react? He fell on his face. That wasn't weakness. That was wisdom hitting the dust before judgment hit the camp. Korah's proud defiance needed a crowd, it needed an audience to clap while it pretended to be courageous. Moses' holy courage, on the other hand, immediately bowed before God. You take too much upon yourselves. Listen closely to those words, because they show how rebellion rarely looks like an obvious villain. It wears a disguise. Korah tells Moses and Aaron, "Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" I mean, it sounds almost spiritual, doesn't it? It sounds like a genuine plea for fairness and equality. And this is the terror of pride. It doesn't always shout, "I want power." Often it just whispers, "I only want fairness." It attacks leadership not out of a genuine care for holiness, but because the proud person simply cannot stand being hidden. Watch how this dissent builds. It doesn't start with full-blown treason. It starts with a tiny, bitter taste in your mouth when you watch someone else carry a visible calling. It's not poison yet. It's just kind of like burnt toast. Easy to ignore or even rebrand as discernment. But then come the dark whispers, the late-night messages, the quiet complaints by the door. Soon, you're gathering an echo chamber just to validate your envy. And finally, pride literally rewrites history. Korah's allies started talking about their slavery in Egypt as if it were a land of milk and honey. Pride paints chains gold and calls them jewelry. After the challenge is issued, Moses sets a terrifying timeline. He basically says, "Tomorrow morning, the Lord will show who is his." Those words must have sat in the camp like a heavy stone in the stomach. Moses is proving right here that this argument over leadership and calling wasn't going to be decided by votes. It wouldn't be decided by public pressure or who had the better speech or the most followers. The size of the following does not prove the anointing. God himself would answer, tomorrow morning. As we approach the climax of this showdown, Moses offers an urgent mercy. He tells the congregation to move away, step back, touch nothing of theirs, not their tent rope, not a bowl, not a cloak. Why? Because sin and rebellion build a whole atmosphere. Some tents carry infection. We love to think we can stand close to a toxic, rebellious environment and remain totally clean. But the text makes it crystal clear you have to move away from the conversation that poisons your reverence before that tent becomes your grave. And then Moses finishes speaking, and creation obeys its creator. So they and all those with them went down alive into the pit. The sheer cinematic horror of this moment is captured in that one word, alive. They didn't fall as dead bodies. They went down breathing before the earth snapped shut. There was no thunder rolling for an hour to give them time to reconsider. Their households, their goods, the men with Korah, swallowed in an instant. And the rest of the camp? They ran in pure terror. What we are looking at here is a sermon preached by soil. The very ground that held their tents, the earth they walked on every single day without a second thought, became the ultimate witness against them. Every step they had taken before that moment had been a mercy. Every ordinary morning was a warning they had actively, stubbornly chosen not to hear.
So I want you to ask yourself this piercing question originally asked by Moses to Korah. Is it a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you to bring you near to himself? We really need to pivot right here and hold this ancient dust step as a mirror to our own lives, because pride always makes blessings look small. Think about it. If you give pride a gift, it will despise that gift simply because someone else holds a different one.
Let's break down exactly how this applies to us today. How does Korah show up in our modern boardrooms, our professional ambitions, and our relationships? Well, are you treating a professional service or assignment like a punishment just because nobody is actively praising you for it? Are you turning your role into a prison simply because your name isn't at the top of the letterhead? We so often call our own envy discernment, and we frame our relentless hunger for control as a fight for workplace justice. This is exactly how ancient entitlement wears a modern suit.
The hardcore truth is this: we cannot just slap a new title, a promotion, or a larger platform on our ambition and expect it to fix the problem. Giving pride a microphone does not heal it. The only cure is the death of the little king inside our own chest. It's the death of that secret demand to be seen, to be centered, and that internal panic that completely takes over the moment someone else is chosen over us.
Yet the story doesn't end just with the earth swallowing the proud. In the aftermath, the camp shockingly complains again, and a plague breaks out. But amidst all that terror, Aaron intervenes. He steps right between the dead and the living. Judgment is on one side, mercy is on the other. This proves that number 16 isn't just about rebels going down. It's fundamentally about mercy standing right in the middle of the mess. And Aaron standing in the gap, that points us directly to the ultimate contrast: Korah versus Christ. Korah reached upward with pride. He wanted to steal honor and gathered men to challenge the divine order. Christ did the exact opposite. He came downward in love. He didn't grasp for a throne. He abandoned his to rescue the soul, taking the form of a bondservant and laying himself down. Korah gathered a crowd to rebel. Christ gathered sinners to bring them back. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought. The earth opened once, and the rebels learned way too late that God does not confuse human ambition with anointing. You know, sometimes the most frightening judgment isn't the ground suddenly splitting open. It's a soul sinking inch by inch while still perfectly quoting all the right words. Look really closely at your own ambitions today. What if the ground under your pride is already cracking? Don't wait for the soil to preach louder. Step away from the tent while you still can.